Hello. Today my topic is from queerness to post-human imagination, the transformation of female bodies in Chinese online literature. And it is one of the chapters of my dissertation. So, firstly, I would offer a brief genealogy of the body politics in Chinese history from a feminist perspective. In traditional culture, the female bodies are always fractured and objectified, with abundant metaphors. So women are always treated as desired objects. And during the early 20th century, when China was facing severe national problems, female bodies were closely connected with a national body that aimed to fight against the Qing dynasty and imperialism. However, with the establishment of a growing capitalist society, women were facing a new dilemma, either to be a housewife or to be a sexual product in the capitalist market. And then after the establishment of the People's Republic of China, it seems that women were being endowed with absolute equality with men. Nevertheless, both men and women were treated equally under the control of a shared collective. So in other words, women had lost their female bodies and femininity. And after the opening reform, new writings concentrated on personal writings and body writings emerged. In those writings, the sexuality of female bodies were fully described, giving women with a complete sexual subjectivity. However, they were criticized of equating body with sexual instincts. So, female bodies were more likely to be read as sexual products under male gaze. So, based on this background, the following questions can be asked. First, how does the online literature produce new narrative forms of female bodies? What are the continuities and discontinuities between these new and past constructions of the female body? Second, how has the depiction of female bodies in online literature changed and developed over the past 2 decades? And finally, what are the connections between these fictitious female bodies and social reality? How do they incorporate the transgender desires? Before I go into focus on my cases, I need to firstly mention that all my cases are taken from Jinjiang Literature City, which is the largest online literary website for female-oriented online literature in mainland China. So here I will choose 3 cases from different periods. By exploring them, I attempt to map out a changing picture that gives sufficient attention to feminist consciousness, not only in the online community, but also in contemporary Chinese society. I choose them not only because they have delivered diversified and interesting descriptions of different bodies, but also because they are all very popular among online fans. So here, my first case, Wan Qingsi, published in 2006. In this case, the author describes a mundane girl Ye Haihua with a failed body, who is eager for both beauty and property. The author highlights how Ye, because of her bloated body, suffers a lot in finding a husband. Nevertheless, through time travel, Ye transforms into Wei Lanxu, who, granted with her ideal body, has been chased by many very good males. Interestingly, the year 2006 observes the popularity of the word called 剩女, the leftover women, directing females' uneasiness of being deprived of youth and beauty, and also their eagerness for getting married in an appropriate age. It suggests that the description of body perfection through time travel here indicates that the female fans of early online time travel romance intend to take self-adaptation according to traditional patriarchal ideas of women. It emphasizes submissiveness and sweetness. So female netizens' desire at that time rely on the cliche framework of love experience with a perfect Mr. Right. And then comes to my second case, Mulan. First, let me briefly introduce the original story of Hua Mulan. It is a well-known legend from Mulan Ci in Northern Wei dynasty. The legend is about a young girl, Hua Mulan, who, in place of her father, dresses herself as a man and joins the army. Talented in military prowess, Mulan quickly embraces great achievements in battle. After the end of the war, she reveals her female identity and returns home in retirement. As a recreation of the legend, the online novel of Mulan follows the main storyline of Mulan Ci, while adding details that draw from the daily lives of contemporary female netizens. In this newly invented story, the protagonist experiences time travel twice. The first time travel tells a story in which a modern girl named He Mulan travels back in time and finds herself as the famous Hua Mulan, who has already retired from the battlefield and returned to her hometown. If we examine her body in detail, we can see that she is performed as the very opposite of the heroine in Wan Qingsi. So the body of Mulan is portrayed deliberately antithetical to the restrained body of Wei Lanxu that confines to male preferences. So it indicates a strong feminist consciousness. However, this setting may entail another problem, for the author's feminist intent to save Mulan from marriage and reproduction comes at the expense of denying her sexuality or even humanity. So I would put my emphasis on a second time travel. This time, He Mulan travels back to Hua's young age and gradually grows to be a successful female general. In this case, the author offers two queer characters. One is Mulan with her masculine body, and the other one is a male character, Di Fei, who is Mulan's subordinate and follower in the army. He has always been mocked at or even despised by his fellows because his feminine appearance and conspicuous beauty. And figures like Di in online literature can be further analyzed in light of the heated discussion on 小鲜肉, denoting good-looking young men in real life. Since 2014, the popularity of the group of 小鲜肉 has provoked two radically different views. On the one hand, they are criticized of being too womanish by mainstream men. This reminds us of the concept of male homosocial desire proposed by Eve Kosofsky-Sedgwick. She points out that the homosexual relationship between an adolescent boy and an older man in classical Greek culture draws on the same pattern as stereotypical romantic heterosexual relationship, where the men hold the superior and subjective positions, and the boys and women are always mastered and treated as sexual objects. Therefore, men fear terribly of being feminized, and they establish male bonds through sharing the privileges of sexual subjects. In this light, the group of 小鲜肉 are to be suppressed and excluded by the mainstream male culture. On the other hand, 小鲜肉, or the queer feminist feminized young males are always elevated to be idols by many youngsters, especially women. For example, in this case, both the story of Mulan and the novel's numerous readers indicate their appreciation and fondness towards these feminized young men. I suggest that this acceptance of queerness brings the essence of heterosexual metrics into question, and therefore rejects the dominating patriarchal idea of misogyny. However, up to now, Mulan's femininity is still in question. For all the versions of the legend of Mulan share a need to restore social order. All the past versions share a need to restore social order. So Mulan has either been forged as a real man in the army, or to recapture her feminized body and go back into the patriarchal order in domestic settings. And also, in the first time travel, as mentioned earlier, Mulan is blamed as a desexualized monster that is ousted from reproductive ability and femininity. But during the second time travel, both the two problems have been solved. Mulan's femininity is asserted and defended in both public and private films throughout the whole process. What weighs more lies in the sustainability of her position as a female general and how she promotes the routinization of female officers in the court, which vibrantly transforming the androcentric society in the northern wing. So, different from the time travel romance stories around 2006, Mulan's queer masculine body embodies a gesture of defiance against male-defined womanness. Also, Mulan presents a redefinition of female beauty and femininity, and enriches the imagination of ideal female images in contemporary China. And the last piece I propose to examine, produced in 2018, pertains to a relatively new subgenre called Kuaichuan, or quick time travel stories. In quick time travel stories, the female protagonist usually leaves her living world and transports to a virtual world for various reasons. Different from other time travel stories, the new world the heroine travels to is like a web game. She is selected as a player in the web game and has to undertake missions or reach a certain score before she can be sent back to her own life. After accomplishing her first mission, she will be sent to the next world and be tasked with a new set of challenges. The settings of the various worlds are always unrelated and different, and in these multiple worlds, the heroine will be given varied bodies, identities, or even forms. Here, I follow Catherine Hales in her perception of liberal humanist subject based on possessive individualism. She believes in individual as essentially the proprietor of his own person or capacities, and also the essence of the labor of free market, privatization, and other relations in a modern capitalist society. So a real, stable, natural body is playing a central role in the liberal humanist subject. However, as the Kuaichuan works indicate, a historically specific construction called the human is giving way to a different construction called the post-human. Post-human view privileges informational pattern over material instantiation, meaning embodiment is accidental rather than inevitable, and also body can be extended and replaced. So here, it raises two key problems concerning a dualism with a long history, that is, body and mind, and also embodiment and information. Can a mind which is separated from a body, be deemed as an independent human being? And do the emotions of a consciousness equal to a real man's? If we examine the female bodies in the cases here, we can recognize that in 大佬, although the heroine has been delivered with varied corresponding identities in each world, the author maintains to use the heroine's own name, Jiang Rui, to refer to the female protagonist. And throughout the whole book, the author offers little words to describe the corporeal body of Jiang. And here I would like to bring in the online game called 内语制作人 as another case. It is also a female-oriented one, and the player takes on the role of the heroine and encounters 5 major male characters who possess psionic powers. You can see that in the opening screen of the game, the body of the heroine is deliberately erased, and in other settings, the heroine's body is again always hidden, incomplete, or decentralized. This detail imparts a common view among the internet fans who believe in the separation of mind and body, and the consciousness is the hinge to be a human. But if we turn our attention to the male characters in these cases, we can see a reversed intention, which emphasizes the importance of the embodiment of the hero and downplays the male character's mind. So here, like the case in 大佬, and also the online game of 恋与制作人 offers another telling example. On the 14th of May 2019, the game released a short video of one of the 5 major male characters, 白起. However, it was strongly criticized by the mostly female consumers because they thought that the new image was uglier than the original one of Bai. His gestures, actions, and figure were all censored. This event reminds us of the theory of simulation raised by Jean-Paul Juliet, as he explains in the area of simulation, the operation of the simulation produces a hyper-real world where there is no reality outside the sign system. In this sense, reality becomes an effect of the sign, and simulation, on the contrary, upholds the illusion of reality. So the reality principle is thus maintained by the approximation of the appearance. Therefore, in the hyper-real world of 恋与, players experience their life with 白起 more real than real, and any subtle amendment of his body would cause strong opposition. It thus unveils the central point of Baudrillard's theory of simulation. The reality is a production. And so a week later, the game producer published an amended image of Baiqi according to the consumer's feedback. Implicit in the alteration of Baiqi's body is the fact that all the male characters in the game, deprived of an independent mind, are essentially mere simulated products that have cultural reaches in reality, enabling the female fans to construct their partners based on their own tastes. Therefore, I would argue that post-human imagination in these online products reveal an effective strategy for female netizens to exercise their feminist power. It firstly stretches mind over body, and then omits or hides the female bodies to shield them from patriarchal judgment, and finally allows the female consumers to design their male partners' bodies according to their own tastes. So to summarize, the trajectory of the body constructions in online literature showcases female fans' changing gender desires, from self-adaptation to male-dominated aesthetic perceptions, to the construction of a queer yet ideal body as a counteraction against it, and finally, to defining their partners according to their own desires. That's all. Thank you very much.